Star Wars Ahsoka is here. I've got 2 pages of show notes. Oh, wow, what a premiere. Oh, just everything I needed and wanted out of a premiere for a Star Wars show about Ahsoka. It's so good. And I know some people have questioned, do I need to have watched Rebels before I watched this? It would help, but it also isn't necessary because they've done a really good job of taking some of the story elements from that show and blending them in here in a way that gives you a little bit of backstory without needing to have watched it. So if you're afraid that you need to watch that before you watch this, don't be. You can jump right in and enjoy everything about Star Wars Ahsoka. Before I even get to the end of this, I'm telling you right now, it's a 10 out of 10 in terms of Star Wars. Everything that makes Star Wars fun makes the 5-year-old child in me jump for joy and be excited. It's all here. We're going to talk the full episode, so if you don't want things spoiled, make sure you go watch it first. But if you have watched it, this is the point where we're going to dive in and talk about the whole thing from start to finish. And I am going to spoil everything. So make sure you do that first. In the meantime, if you like what you see here today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon because I'm going to be reviewing these episodes as they come out. And I do lots of other TV shows and films. Plus, we do games, daily streams at 11 a.m. There's tons of other stuff here, podcasts for Middle Earth, Dune, so on and so forth. Check out the playlists, join the Discord, links are down below. Here's your countdown to avoid spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. So, we start this episode off with the scroll, and it's a slightly different style this time, which is cool. But we've got essentially this backstory of what's going on with the history, fall of the Empire, and then the remnants of everything. And it says here that Ahsoka has captured Lady Morgan as a prisoner, and she's being transported to the Republic. Um, this opening sequence of this transport ship, this prisoner ship, and then this vessel approaching, which is using old Jedi codes. And the captain's like, I'm going to call their bluff. And he goes down. And of course, it's our new big baddie, played by, rest in peace, Mr. Ray Stevenson, who it's so unfortunate that he passed because his performance here, and I would have loved to have seen more. But I've loved everything he's done ever since his Helm as Pulo in HBO's Rome. Like he in his Punisher film was great. Like I could go on, but we see the Master and Apprentice here, and they of course decimate the ship and rescue Lady Morgan from her jail cell. Um, and we get this reference that they're seeking a map. Ahsoka Tano is seeking a map, which is going to lead to finding Thrawn, and that's obviously one of the major themes of this show. Is that Grand Admiral Thrawn is making an appearance, which is one of the few characters from the Legends/Extended Universe books that have actually made it into canon, which is really cool. Um, the next sequence is Ahsoka Tano on this planet looking for something, and it's very much this reminded me of every cool video game I've ever played, especially if you've played the recent Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games, because this feels like it was pulled straight out of one of those games with this sequence where Ahsoka, goes down into this temple and has to figure out a puzzle to get this star map and everything else. And then when she comes out, there's of course bad guys, a series of droids that are waiting to attack her. She takes them out. Really cool um, lightsaber sequence here, but I would also say that it shows Ahsoka Tano just being a badass, which she is. That's pretty cool. And she of course wants to go back to the fleet and report in. And when she gets back there, we meet Hera, who's a general now, and there's been an incident, which of course is the escape of Lady Morgan, and now we're dealing with this star map. And there's mention here of the Battle of Lothal and how, oh well, Thrawn was killed there, and Ahsoka's like, well, his body, was never found, was never confirmed. We get mention of Ezra, um, and so we know that automatically that's going to be one of the main story arcs, at least for the first episodes, is going to be using the star map to find Thrawn and Ezra. That's story arc number one, if it were. Of course, Hera is like, well, we're going to need to talk to her to unlock this map. That'd be your best chance. Of course, we're talking about Sabine. The only question I have, because I'm not fresh on Rebels, is why Sabine is the key to unlocking this device. I don't remember exactly. Meanwhile, we're on Lothal now, and we see Clancy. Clancy showing up, Clancy Brown, as the leader of the planet, giving a big speech to celebrate Commander Ezra's liberation of their planet. They're erecting a monument to him, and Sabine is supposed to give a speech, but we find out that she's not here and she's ducked out. And the next sequence is so awesome. Like, it's her on a speeder bike racing down the highway, and a couple of, pilots come in on either side of her because they're trying to stop her and get her back to give a speech. And the music here is just like this really cool rock music, like chase sequence music. And it's this whole thing of like her running away and being a badass pilot and everything else, and the thrill of the chase, and she gets away, of course. There's a really cool sequence where they land one of the ships and she just skids underneath it and then takes off. And then the other pilot who's still in the air, like giving her a nod and be like, "Well, fair enough. You do you. You get out of here." So it's a really cool. It's Sabine being Sabine, which is a lot of fun. Um, we get back to her little pad and we see her Mandalorian gear stashed. And there's the kitty cat. Not really a kitty cat, but it's a kitty cat. And a hollow disc with Ezra, which she pulls up as she's having memories and thinking about him. Meanwhile, we're back to Balin, Ray Stevens' character, the Master, and his apprentice, following in Ahsoka's footsteps on the planet, and they have Lady Morgan with them, and she reveals herself to be one of the Night Sisters of Dathomir, and this used to be a temple for the Night Sisters thousands of years ago. And we, of course, find out here that they know what's going on, and of course, Ahsoka's got to have it. We need to go find, Ahsoka's old apprentice on Lothal, and and Balin sends his apprentice off to the planet, which we know where that's leading because it's a very Darth Maul confrontation thing. Um, Meanwhile, Sabine wakes up, hearing this voice in her head, and she gasps the name Ezra, and then sees a device beeping, which means visitors, and she goes outside, and here comes Ahsoka's ship, and now this is all about, her having a conversation with Sabine about how, we need to find Ezra. Here's this map. There's a back and forth here because they used to be master and apprentice, and there is some emotional connection here, this is one of those story elements we're telling you where you don't need to have watched Rebels because it's explained here. Ex-apprentice, and there's memories on the ship and the drawings on the wall and everything, and they did it very well. But Ahsoka expressly tells Sabine, don't take the map off the ship because this is about preventing a war. There's something much bigger here than just finding Ezra. And of course, Sabine isn't going to listen to her. Um, we then get this scene where Ahsoka goes to talk to Huyang, the droid, and he's talking about how I've looked up the lightsabers from that video that you wanted me to look at, and I've discovered that in 500 years I've only seen this lightsaber built that one time, and it was by a student called Balin Scroll. At the end of the Clone Wars, he disappears, and it appears, so Ahsoka's like, okay, so he appears to have survived, and he created an apprentice, and so that's what we're dealing with. Now, of course, Sabine has taken the map and she goes back to her pad, and you know where this is going by this point if you've ever watched any show or movie ever, because of course she figures it out, and of course, as she figures it out, here comes some droids, steal it from her. She, confronts the droids, runs outside, grabs her lightsaber on the way out, and here she's confronted with Balin's apprentice. There's a lightsaber fight. The apprentice stabs her. As Ahsoka's ship comes down to land, and then we get fade to black, and we are left going, "Oh no, what's happened to Sabine? Is she going to survive?" And of course, we don't know anything yet about episode 2, which I haven't watched yet. So, tomorrow I will have the second episode up here on the channel. So, if you want to know more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Tune in tomorrow for the next episode of Ahsoka Tano, and hopefully we'll see you for all of the episodes as we review this show, and of course all the other things we review here. Check out the playlist, join the Discord, all the links are down below. Until next time, everybody, stay safe. May the Force be with you.